Greetings, everyone. So today I wanted to talk about my experience over the past while of using a margin loan to buy shares. And I have never used margin in the past before. Borrowing money was the devil, but it's possible to use other people's money to make more money. You know, a lot of the big investors do this, whether you're borrowing for real estate or for business or whatever. So I thought I'd give it a try. It's been 2 months since I pulled a margin loan, and I thought I'd give you my experience of what's happened so far. So the main reason why I started this was because during the Trump tantrum, or the Trump tariff tantrum, the market fell quite a ways, and it took down several stocks that I was really interested in. And I had $30,000 or $40,000 sitting in my cash account. Well, I invested all of that in some of these extra stocks, but I really wanted more because I felt like they were a good value. So I started looking into margin, and I love the Fidelity system for trading, but Fidelity's margin rates were really high. They started at around 11%. So I started looking at other brokerages. I found that typically Fidelity and Vanguard and Schwab, they all start around 11%. There's a couple others that are around 6%, and Webull and Robinhood were the lowest at around 5.25 to 5.75. So I recently heard that you can call Fidelity and say, hey, I want a lower margin rate. One of the other YouTubers got one down at 6.37% from Fidelity, which is interesting. If I'd known that, I might not have done my strategy, but anyhow, I did. I went with Robinhood because if you have over $100,000 of borrowing, your interest rate is only 5.25 if you signed up for their gold account, which was kind of a wash. So that's what I did. To get the basis for the investment, I just moved some of the shares over from Fidelity to Robinhood to invest on. These were things that I didn't plan on selling. I'm just hanging on to them, so it didn't hurt to just move them over. So I moved first 100 grand over in shares, so that gave me 100 grand worth of borrowing. I've actually moved more over and I have a bigger margin limit, but that's what I did. So as some history, I used that margin. I didn't start all at once. I kind of wanted to test it. So maybe I started with 20 grand of stock, or 30, then changed to 50, then sent over some more. So it gave me more margin along the way. And so as different investments looked attractive to me, I would pick up some shares. So as of right now, I have about $53,000 invested in Western Midstream. That ticker is WES. So it has appreciated about 4% since I purchased it. That was a gain of $2.2 thousand. And I also received a dividend from Western Midstream of $431. So that's my largest investment. I really like that pipeline. Has a really high dividend yield. I think it's over 9%. So I really like that one. PAA is the next one. That's Plains All American Pipeline. I bought $34,000 worth of that stock. It is up 11.46% since then. So it did really well. So I have made a gain of $3,500 since I purchased it, and it also paid me a dividend of $47.50. Something to know about dividend paying stocks is you have to own shares by a specific time in order to get the dividend. So some of these I bought before the ex-dividend date. Some of them I bought some shares after the ex-dividend date. I was looking at both what the dividend payout is and also with the value of the shares, because I thought they were undervalued and would potentially go up. So just kind of know that I've kind of, the best time to buy with one of these strategies, if you can pick up the shares right before the dividend, the quarterly dividend, and then it kind of helps your margin balance out a bit. So the next thing I bought was DKL, which is Deletic. It's a chemical pipeline company. DK is its mother company. I bought about $8,000 worth of that. It is up 15.69% since I bought it, or about $1,000. I also received a dividend from DK of $85.47. So that was kind of a fun gain. I bought US Compression Partners, which is ticker USAC. I have $9,900 worth of that stock. It is up 4.37%, and that's a gain of about 400 bucks. I bought this one after the ex-dividend date, so I did not get a dividend from this one yet, but I will when they have their next payout in August. And then Westlake Chemical Partners, that one is WLKP. The mother company is WLK. It's a chemical mover, base chemicals, energy. So of that, I bought $8,200. It has actually gone down since I bought it, about 1% or so. So I'm down somewhere between 100 and 146 on that one. And it did not pay a dividend. So I started this process about 2 months ago. So the overall change in my net asset value change has gone up by $7,000, which is really fun. And the dividends that I have received are what is it, 600? I got to look at my math here. I think I've received $651 in dividends from these companies, and then I've also been paying margin interest because I borrowed this $100,000, and so my margin interest is $505 for these extra funds, and so I'm net positive on the dividends of $156. So my goal for trying this margin loan was to borrow funds to buy high dividend paying shares that would also potentially grow, and then basically use other people's money to acquire more shares. So thus far, after 2 months, it's working. My dividends have paid for the margin expense, and the NAV on my shares has gone up by $7,000. It's roughly 7%. So my overall gain here is just slightly more than 7% for 2 months of borrowing $100,000 on margin. So it's just kind of experiment I'm working with. The interest rate that I have is 5.25%. And you get that if you borrow more than 100K. So that was my goal, to get above that. And great margin rates from Robinhood. I don't necessarily trust Robinhood, but I'll take their margin rate. And you have insurance for your brokerage account up to $500,000. So I feel that if something should happen to Robinhood, at least my shares are covered. So there's that. So that's the summary. My 2-month experiment has netted about $7,000, and we'll continue to report on this margin loan experiment for you. Hopefully any of that advice or my experience might help you. This isn't financial advice, but it's just kind of an interesting take on a strategy that I'm trying, and hopefully it's helpful to folks. We'll see you. Bye.